Hello everyone, welcome to the first episode of Displaced Yinzer's Beer Reviews. I've been drinking craft beer for probably about 12 years now, and I've been watching a lot of YouTube reviews, and I found them more insightful than a lot of Untapped or Beer Advocate reviews, just because it's a lot easier to get people's impressions on a video than it is from just reading reviews online, so I figured I would start my own page. I lived in Pittsburgh for about 30 years, and I just recently moved to North Carolina, hence the name Displaced Yinzer. I've noticed the craft beer scene here is a lot different than Pittsburgh. I wouldn't say it's better or worse, it's just a lot different. So I found a new respect for living in a different scene and having to appreciate that, so I decided to kind of start out fresh and start rating the beers that were available in the North Carolina area, and also I have a lot of friends in Pittsburgh still, and my family's there, so there'll be a lot of Pittsburgh ratings on here as well, and also just things I get in trades from throughout the country and wherever else. So I hope you guys enjoy and take some insightful notes on the things I have to say about these beers. So let's get into it. This first beer is from Dugis, I'm not sure exactly how it's said. Swedish brewery, but it's a collaboration with Stillwater. I'm pretty familiar with Stillwater. To me, they're very hit or miss. A lot of their things are, I don't really know how to say it, but some of them are great. Some of them are very, very bland and middle of the road. So it all depends on what it is. I wouldn't necessarily say I've had a bad beer from Stillwater, but I don't have that much faith in them where every time I see one I would buy it because I hadn't had it before. But I did see someone on a group that I'm in say that this beer is fantastic, and I also looked up on some ratings on different websites and Untapped, and just people comments on Facebook, and they all said that this beer is great. So since I knew it was available locally, I figured I'd pick one up and try it out, and it'll be the first beer for this page, and hopefully there'll be a lot more after this. So I'll crack this open and see what we got. So I'm sitting probably about 8 inches from this, and I already smell the passion fruit from this, which is pretty crazy because I just didn't expect it to be that fruit forward, but from reading the reviews, it sounded like it was, but I just don't necessarily believe other people's comments on that. Sometimes I think they over-exaggerate and everything, but I really did. As soon as I was pouring it, I could smell the passion fruit, and the look on it is a little, I'll say a little disappointing. I expected it to be a little more carbonated. I'm hoping that the body's not thin because of that, but the haze is fine. I have no problem with that, but it's a little disappointing that there wasn't more carbonation. Maybe it was also the way I poured it. So I'm going to take a sniff and see what it smells like. Yeah, that is straight fruit juice. It doesn't have much oaky character at all. It's certainly not what I would. If I smelled it and I didn't know what it was, I wouldn't necessarily assume that it was even a sour beer. It doesn't really have any of that lactic or acetic character to it. It has a little bit of like a skin character that might be from wild yeast maybe, but it's definitely mango and peach is the biggest, and then maybe a little bit of more tropical like the passion fruit which is in it. That could just be me reading the label as well, so I don't know. Let's see what it tastes like though. Wow. That's crazy. So the carbonation is a little lacking, which I was expecting from the pour. And I wish it was a little more tart. It would come across as more of an actual wild ale, but there is a little tartness. Part of that might just be from the fruit, though. It is hard to tell that would actually be from lacto. It does say that it's fermented with lacto, though. It is it's not like those crazy fruit smoothie beers in that sense where it seems like you're actually drinking juice, but it is, excuse me, one of the most fruit forward beers that I've ever had. But it still has a nice grainy quality to it that makes you know that you're still drinking beer and you're not just drinking fruit juice. The peach, I would say, is definitely the strongest flavor of any of them, but I can tell that it's not just peach. There's something else there. It's probably more peach and mango. Passion fruit is a very distinct taste that I'm getting a tiny bit of, but not a ton of, which I think is probably actually a good thing in this sense, because if there was a ton of passion fruit, it would probably be even sweeter, which isn't necessarily what I'm looking for in a wild ale. I'm gonna go into this again. There is a little bit of that that weedy, yeasty, like burnt hair salon character that I get from certain wheat yeasty beers. It's not necessarily detrimental to the beer. I think it's just something that I pick up from those types of beers, and it's also very mild, so I wouldn't really be concerned about that, but it's just an attribute to the beer. The peach is crazy in this. It's not quite to the level of like a New Glarus peach. It's definitely different than like the very sour peach beers as well, because it doesn't have that. It's a natural sweet peach character, and definitely a little bit of mango as well. Those are the two predominant flavors. Passion fruit, I think, is in the background, but it's there. Wow. I know that there's so many beers that people who love beer think that non-beer drinkers will like, especially fruit beers. And when they give it to them, they're like, well, I get it, it's fruity, but it still tastes like beer. I don't really like this, or it's too sour, too funky, too weird. And that happens to me a lot as well. And this, I don't think that is the case with this. I think this beer, if you gave this to any single person, would say, wow, that is, as long as they like those fruits, they would say, wow, that is a really, really tasty drink. Like I said, I do like that it does have a grainy character to it, because if it didn't, I would almost feel like it was straight fruit juice. And I know before I was saying I would like it to be a little more acidic, but if it was a little more, it might make me think that it was more beer-like. But it's because it's not that acidic, it's actually very, very drinkable. Like I'm just talking because I'm doing this review, but I could have drank in this glass in 2 minutes. I mean, now that I'm smelling it, it's actually more of a nectarine than a peach, which obviously it's just coming from my head because I know there's not nectarines in this beer. It is peaches, but it's just peach skin and tropical character. And excuse me, but it's not like those flavors from hops. It is straight those fruits, but it's not to the point where it's juice either. I can honestly say that I don't know that I've ever had a beer that tasted like this. It's not to say that this is the best beer in the world or it's like the craziest unique thing. I don't know that I've ever had something that was so fruit forward but not that sour, but not like fake sweetness either. It's just really unique, and I'm glad that people were saying that it was good, and I'm glad that I tried it. It's something that I would probably, if I saw it again, I would probably buy one. I mean, I can right now. It's down the street for $7 a bottle, so I'll probably buy a couple extra to share with people who haven't had it. It's not something that I would drink every day or want to have a lot of, but when you read the label and you see that it says Tropic Punch Ale. I mean, that's exactly what you're getting. It's not like that cherry fruit punch berry taste, but it's tropical fruits in a glass, not too tart, so it's very, very approachable. I don't know what to say. I'm not... Usually something doesn't... A lot of things don't necessarily live up to the hype from what I hear from them. And this certainly lived up to the hype. I don't know that it's better than the hype, but it's definitely more unique than I was expecting from the hype. It's fruit in a glass with a little bit of tartness and a little bit of a grainy beer character. It's crazy drinkable. So if you get this in your area, I don't know what the distribution is. I'm assuming it's probably similar to what Stillwater's distribution is, which is, I believe, pretty wide. So if you see this, I would certainly recommend picking it up. So it's $7 a bottle, which isn't crazy cheap, but it's not that expensive. It's certainly worth a try. And I hope you guys enjoyed my first review, and I'll be looking forward to posting some more. Thanks. Bye.